My name is Mia Thornton. I'm 28 years old. Tonight, at my parents' 40th wedding anniversary, my mother leans across the linen tablecloth, looks me straight in the eyes, and says into the microphone, as calmly as if she were asking for more wine, "We wish you were never born." For a split second, everything stops. Glasses stall halfway to lips, forks hover above plates, someone's mid-laugh freezes on their face. The band keeps playing some cheerful background song that suddenly sounds completely wrong, like it's leaking in from another universe. My chest tightens, but my face doesn't move. I don't cry, I don't plead, I don't even blink. I push my chair back, letting the scrape of wood on tile slice through the silence. I feel every pair of eyes on me, heavy and curious. I smooth the front of my dress with steady hands, and for the first time in my life, I stand taller than anyone at that table. She said, "We wish you were never born." I look right at her and say clearly, "Then I'll disappear." The color drains from her face, but I'm not finished. I lean in just enough so the microphone on the table catches every word, just enough so her friends, my dad's colleagues, the church people, the neighbors, all of them can hear me without straining. You want to see what happens when your disappointment finally listens to you? I smile, slow and sharp. Watch closely. You're going to remember me for the rest of your lives. Then I turn away from them and walk toward the exit. Behind me, the spell breaks. Someone gasps my name. A chair scrapes back hard. Glassware clinks. My father mutters a curse under his breath. My siblings shift, confused and tense. I don't turn around. My phone is already in my hand. On the screen, a scheduled post ready to go live, an unsent email addressed to a long list of important people, and one video file I've been building like a weapon for weeks. I step outside, the night air hitting my skin like cold water. I tap a confirmation button, slide my phone back into my clutch, and keep walking down the steps. 30 minutes later, that party will be in full-blown chaos. If you think a mother saying, "We wish you were never born," is the worst thing that happens tonight, you're wrong. That was just the final push. I'd been setting up the rest long before anyone walked into this cafe, long before the cake arrived, long before the perfect family slideshow warmed up the projector. Stay with me until the very end, and I'll show you exactly how their celebration turned into a public disaster none of them will ever escape. Half an hour earlier, before anyone knew what I was about to do, I was standing behind the dessert table, pretending to fuss with the tiered cake. From there, I had a perfect view. My parents posed under strings of warm lights like they were on the cover of some lifestyle blog. Matching smiles, matching champagne flutes, 40 years of marriage packaged into something glossy and enviable. The cafe is packed. Relatives we only see at weddings and funerals, neighbors, people from church, my dad's business partners, Ryan's colleagues from the hospital, Emily's law school friends. Everyone is dressed up, laughing, clinking glasses, taking photos in front of the big 40 sign. Everywhere I look, I see the same phrase written on their faces. What a perfect family. I know better. I designed this whole thing, the invitations, the centerpiece concept, the slideshow that hasn't played yet. I picked the photos. I coordinated the flowers with the table runners. I made sure everything looked exactly as beautiful as they wanted the world to believe they are. I built the stage they're about to fall from. Ryan, my older brother, is holding court near the bar, retelling some story about a complicated surgery he barely pulled off. People are hanging on every word, faces tilted up in admiration like he's some kind of miracle worker. Emily, my sister, stands in a small, admiring circle of guests asking about her upcoming bar exam, internships, name-dropping judges and firms. Every time she laughs, people lean closer to bask in it. No one asks me how my art is going. They never do. For years, I told myself it was just benign favoritism. They were just proud of the doctor and the almost lawyer. It wasn't that deep. They loved me too, just less loudly, less publicly, less at all. 3 weeks ago, that lie finally snapped. I'd gone to my parents' house to drop off some mock-ups for the anniversary invitations. The dining table was buried under papers and decorations. A folder lay half open. I recognized my own name on the top of the first page. Mia Thornton, College Fund. My stomach tightened. I shouldn't have looked further. I did anyway. The fund was empty. Not used for tuition empty. Not we helped you with rent empty. I never saw that money. No, I saw line after line of transfers, amounts broken up into neat, manageable chunks, rerouted into other accounts. Payment to Ryan Thornton, loan consolidation. Transfer to Emily Thornton, bar expenses. Tuition fee, Emily Thornton. Years ago. On one statement, my mother's handwriting cut across the margin in blue ink. She'll never make money with art anyway. Better to invest in the real futures. Something inside me cracked, but something else woke up at the same time. Suddenly, everything slotted into place. The introductions at parties. This is our brilliant surgeon, Ryan. This is our future lawyer, Emily. Oh, and this is Mia. She draws. The way my mom's mouth tightened when I mentioned a gallery. The way my dad casually changed the subject whenever I spoke for more than 15 seconds. The little comments they made when they thought I couldn't hear. So, I started listening. My phone became my witness. Little voice memos in the hallway. Recordings made while I stood just outside their half-closed doors. My mother's voice, weary and annoyed. If we hadn't had her, we could have retired by now. My father's low mutter. At least the other two turned out right. Ryan's easy chuckle. Her little art hobby. She'll be back living at home soon enough. Emily, dismissive. She was the practice child. They just got it right with us. I got all of it. Every careless insult, every sigh. Every time they turned me into a burden in conversations I wasn't supposed to hear. One night, staring at the heap of audio files, I thought, if I put this on a big screen, if I showed it to all the people who worship them, would anyone still call us the perfect family? So when they asked for my help with the anniversary party, Mia, you're creative. You can make it look nice, right? I smiled. Of course, I said. I'll make it unforgettable. That was the moment revenge stopped being a fantasy and became a project. The plan was simple at first. Let me handle the slideshow, I told my mom a month before the party. You know, a little video with your wedding pictures, us as kids, old family photos. I can make something better than the basic templates online. She barely looked away from her laptop. Fine, just don't make it weird. People like classic. Classic, sure. I dug through boxes of photo albums. Their wedding day. Young, glowing, broke but in love. Baby Ryan, baby Emily. Beach trips, Christmas mornings, birthday parties. My baby pictures were there too, usually jammed at the edges of frames, slightly out of focus, like an afterthought. I scanned everything. I organize the images into a sweet little timeline. Couple meets, gets married, has children, builds a life. I chose soft piano music. I added sentimental captions. The first part of the video was exactly what everyone in that room would expect, a highlight reel of their perfect story. Then, I created a new folder on my laptop and named it Truth. Into it went the audio clips, my mother's voice. Sometimes I wish we'd stopped after 2 kids. My father, Mia is just expensive decoration. Ryan, laughing about how at least my college fund was put to good use. Emily, We're all carrying her dead weight. I paired each voice with evidence, screenshots of bank statements, every transfer out of the Mia Thornton College Fund underlined and highlighted, a close-up of my mother's handwritten note, better to invest in the real futures. I let that image sit on the screen long enough for anyone in the room to read it twice. Then came my art, paintings they refused to hang in the house, pieces they called too dark and a waste of time, portraits of them with their smiles sliding off their faces, eyes made of shattered glass, teeth turning into cracked porcelain, abstract shapes that at first glance looked like interesting patterns. With the audio playing over them, they became weapons. The only person who knew any piece of what I was doing was Jess, the barista from this very cafe. One night, after closing, I showed up with my laptop and a half-hysterical laugh. "You're not serious," she said, watching the rough cut with wide eyes. "Dead serious," I answered. "They've acted like I'm invisible my whole life. I want to show them how visible I can make them." She gave a low whistle. "This is going to blow the place up. That's the idea." Jess helped me with the logistics. The cafe has a projector and a decent sound system. The plan was to play the tribute video right after the speeches, when everyone would be full of food and emotion, easy to hook and hard to distract. I exported the final video with a very boring file name, anniversary_final.mp4. I put a copy on the cafe laptop, another on a USB drive in my clutch, a third in a private cloud folder set on a timer to go public on social media exactly 30 minutes after I left the party. I drafted an email with the subject line, "Regarding the Thorntons." In the BCC field, my dad's biggest clients, the hospital board where Ryan works, a few of Emily's mentors and partners. In the body, a short note and links to the video, plus a couple of neatly cropped screenshots of the statements and that incriminating little handwritten line. Night after night, my cursor hovered over send. I kept asking myself, if I set this off, if I burn down the image they worked so hard to build, what will that fix? Will it give me anything back? Or will I just be standing in the ruins of something that was already dead? Eventually, I realized the answer didn't matter. They'd never once stopped to ask what they'd done to me. "What did we do to you, Mia?" Not once. So I decided to answer the question they never asked, in the loudest possible way. By the time the anniversary rolled around, everything was in place. The video was loaded on the cafe's system. The backup files lived in my phone and in a cloud I controlled. The scheduled post sat quietly in my social media draft folder. The email slept in drafts, one tap away from detonating. All I had to do was act like the harmless, forgettable daughter they'd trained me to be. I showed up early under the excuse of helping with decorations. I checked the projector, ran a quick technical test on the video. The first half played as planned. Happy couple, baby photos, music. For the second half, I muted the sound and skipped ahead, just to keep my secret safe. Only I knew what waited after the final fade to white. Guests trickled in, then flooded the room. I floated around, refilling water glasses, straightening napkins, smiling just enough to be polite, fading just enough to go unnoticed. "Tonight is about us, not you," my mother whispered sharply as she passed me, fixing her corsage in the reflection of a window. "No drama, Mia, promise me." I almost burst out laughing. "No drama," I echoed, my voice flat. "Got it." Dinner went by like a scene I've watched 100 times. Toasts to love, toasts to sacrifice, people praising their marriage, their parenting, their beautiful family. My dad's partners stood up and called him a pillar of the community. Ryan gave a polished speech about discipline and success, and everything our parents gave up for us. Emily followed with a story about how they always believed in us. Applause, dabbing at eyes, warm smiles. When my mother took the microphone, she looked like she was born to hold it. "We are so blessed," she said, her voice trembling just enough to sound emotional. "Our children have made us so proud." Her gaze swept the room, pausing lovingly on Ryan, then Emily, then gliding right over me as if I were a chair. Some of them, she added with a little laugh. The table around us chuckled along. Heat crept up the back of my neck, but I stayed seated. I knew I was almost at my mark. After her speech, someone at our table jokingly suggested I say a few words too. My mother waved the idea away and said loudly, "Oh, Mia's better with her little drawings than talking in front of people." Once, that would have cut me open. Tonight, it barely scratched the surface. What I didn't expect was what happened next. As the attention shifted back to clinking forks and refreshed wine glasses, she leaned in closer, her mouth near the stand mic she'd set down on the table, trying to keep it just between us, forgetting the mic picks up more than just speeches. "You're only sitting here because we were too soft to do what we should have done a long time ago," she hissed. "Sometimes I really do wish you were never born." The microphone caught the entire sentence perfectly. The room went silent so fast it was like someone flipped a switch. I heard a fork clatter against a plate. Someone sucked in a breath. The band faltered, then stumbled into a softer volume. The old version of me would have shrunk, stared into my lap, swallowed the hurt, and pretended it was fine. Instead, I stood up. The chair scraped loudly, my heart hammered, but my voice was steady. "Then I'll disappear," I said, letting the words land like a verdict. "Mia, sit down," she snapped. "You're making a scene." "A scene?" I laughed, one short, humorless sound. "No, a scene is what you get when people don't know what's really going on. Tonight, they're going to watch it in HD. I turned to the room and smiled, calm and bright. "You all came here to celebrate their perfect love story," I said. "Do yourself a favor. Stay for the sequel." Then I walked away, past our table, the gawking relatives, the shocked business partners. On my way to the door, I caught Jess's eyes at the sound booth. Her hand hovered over the controls, waiting. I didn't speak. I just gave the smallest nod. She nodded back, jaw set. Outside, the air was cool and sharp, like my own anger pressing against my skin. I stepped into the narrow alley beside the cafe, where kitchen staff sometimes take smoke breaks. The brick wall felt solid at my back. Through the thin wall, I could hear the muffled hum of voices trying to slither back to normal. I pulled out my phone. The scheduled social media post? Ready. Visibility? Public. Comments? On. The email to the hospital board, my dad's clients, Emily's people? Drafted. The cloud backup of the video set to go live in exactly 30 minutes. Jess texted, "They're calming down. Your mom is acting like nothing happened. Ready?" I replied, "Start the slideshow when they ask. Don't stop it, no matter what." Her answer came fast. "Got you." A second later, my mother's name flashed across my screen. "Come back now. We'll talk about this later. Stop being dramatic." I let it time out. For once in my life, I wasn't the one who needed to come back. They were the ones about to get dragged into reality. Minutes ticked by. 15 minutes. 18. Voices inside rose and fell. The cafe lights dimmed a little as they always do before videos and speeches. "Jess, it's starting. They cheered when they saw your name in the title. Video by Mia. Your mom looks smug." I could imagine it perfectly. The screen lighting up with their wedding day, cheap string lights overhead, a rented hall, 2 young faces soft with real hope, warm smiles in the crowd, sighs, someone whispering, "They were so cute." Photos of tiny Ryan in his hospital blanket, people cooing. Photos of baby Emily, toddler birthdays, family vacations. The whole room swaddled in nostalgia. Then, right where the sweet montage should keep going, the screen cuts to black. Silence. Over the black screen, my mother's voice plays, raw and unedited. Art is not a real career. We should have stopped encouraging her stupid sketches years ago. Jess texted almost immediately. The room just froze. People are looking around. Your mom looks like she's stopped breathing. The black screen fades into a zoomed-in image of a bank statement. Mia Thornton College Fund. Balance, 20 cents. Highlighted withdrawals. Transfer to Ryan Thornton, loan consolidation. Transfer to Emily Thornton, bar fees. Over it, my father's own voice. At least the other two turned out right. She'll never notice. She never pays attention to finances. Gasks, a glass slamming a little too hard onto a table. Someone whispering, "Is this real?" Jess, your dad's turning red. Your mom is yelling that this is fake, but then the next part hit. The next clip on the screen, my mother's sigh, speaking to someone on the phone. Mia is just a drain. If we hadn't had her, we could have retired by now. On the screen, that line plays over a painting of hers I'd done in secret, her smiling face front and center, while her shadow behind her twists into something dark and monstrous. Then, the final knife, the audio from tonight, the one the mic so generously captured. Sometimes I really do wish you were never born. Those words echo through the cafe, this time over a slow zoom-in on my face at the table just before I stood up, then a cut to a family photo from years ago, where child me stands at the edge of the frame, half cut off. My phone buzzes non-stop. Unknown number. "You're disgusting. How could you do this to your parents?" Another. "Mia, I'm so sorry. I never knew." The video keeps going. My parents' voices overlap. Every dismissive comment, every cruel joke layered over my art. Paintings inspired by being invisible, by standing in rooms full of people who act like your furniture. My own voice, recorded weeks ago, breaks through. This is what it feels like to be the child they don't choose. This is what it sounds like when love has conditions. The video ends not with a quote about family, but with one line of text. "You taught me that reputation matters more than truth. Tonight, I chose truth." Then black. Jess, your dad tried to pull the plug, but half the room was already recording it. Someone shouted, "You used her college fund?" One of your dad's clients is shouting at him. Your mom is screaming at the manager. It's a mess. Right on cue, a notification slides down on my phone. Your video is now live. Views start jumping almost immediately. Shares climb. Comments appear. Strangers already forming opinions about my life in real time. 30 minutes after I walked out, their anniversary party has stopped being a celebration. It's a public crime scene of their own decisions, with every witness they ever wanted to impress still in the room. My father calls. I let it go to voicemail. Ryan calls. Ignore. Emily. Ignore. My mother. Ignore. Then I turn my phone off. Pure silence. For the first time in my life, they are the ones chasing my attention. And for the first time, I have absolutely no intention of going back. By the next morning, even before I turn my phone on, I know the video has blown up. Jess slips a folded note under my apartment door on her way home from the early shift. They're calling it the Anniversary Massacre. Brace yourself. When I finally power my phone back up, it vibrates so hard I almost drop it. Notifications flood the screen. 1 million views, tens of thousands of comments, friend requests, DMs, hate messages, long paragraphs from strangers pouring out their own childhood wounds under my video. Someone took the still of my mother mid-scoff and turned it into a meme. Above her face, "We wish you were never born." Below it, "Okay, bet." Next to it, a freeze frame of me walking out of the cafe. People laugh. People are horrified. People are entertained. People are inspired. It's all there. For a few days, my family is silent. Then the fallout starts trickling in. Ryan calls first. "You destroyed everything," he spits, voice low and ragged. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "I showed people what you all said. You did the rest yourselves." "The hospital board is reviewing my status. Patients are canceling. They think I knew about the fund and used it. They think I'm complicit." "Were you?" I ask. The silence on the other end tells me more than his words ever could. Emily's call comes next. Her controlled, polished voice is cracked around the edges. My firm asked if there's anything else, more recordings, more proof, any other skeletons. They're scared this will blow back on them. I was supposed to start a clerkship next month. Now they're reviewing my file. You called me the practice child, I remind her. You joked about how they wasted money on me so they could do better with you. You laughed when they gutted my future for yours. This is just the invoice. You could have talked to us, she snaps. You didn't have to do it like this. You could have talked to me years ago. You didn't. She hangs up. It takes a local reporter picking up the story for my parents to finally reach out. A segment called Behind the Perfect Family Photo airs on the evening news. They blur the bank statements, but not the handwritten line, better to invest in the real futures. They play muffled clips of the audio. The anchor shakes her head sympathetically. Suddenly, it's not just an online drama. It's playing on the TV mounted in the waiting room of my dad's office. It's being watched over the dinner tables of people who've known us for decades. My father finally calls. His first words are not, "I'm sorry." If you take the video down, we can tell people it was edited out of context. We'll say you were struggling. We'll control the narrative. I showed people what you all said. You did the rest yourselves. The hospital board is reviewing my status. Patients are canceling. They think I knew about the fund and used it. They think I'm complicit. Were you? I ask. The silence on the other end tells me more than his words ever could. Emily's call comes next. Her controlled, polished voice is cracked around the edges. My firm asked if there's anything else, more recordings, more proof, any other skeletons. They're scared this will blow back on them. I was supposed to start a clerkship next month. Now they're reviewing my file. You called me the practice child, I remind her. You joked about how they wasted money on me so they could do better with you. You laughed when they gutted my future for yours. This is just the invoice. You could have talked to us, she snaps. You didn't have to do it like this. You could have talked to me years ago. You didn't. She hangs up. It takes a local reporter picking up the story for my parents to finally reach out. A segment called Behind the Perfect Family Photo airs on the evening news. They blur the bank statements, but not the handwritten line, better to invest in the real futures. They play muffled clips of the audio. The anchor shakes her head sympathetically. Suddenly, it's not just an online drama. It's playing on the TV mounted in the waiting room of my dad's office. It's being watched over the dinner tables of people who've known us for decades. My father finally calls. His first words are not, "I'm sorry." If you take the video down, we can tell people it was edited out of context. We'll say you were struggling. We'll control the narrative. I showed people what you all said. You did the rest yourselves. He doesn't deny it. The art world finds me before my family figures out how to bury me. A gallery owner in the city sends me a DM. Saw your video. Brutal, honest, important. I looked up your work. We should talk. I assume it's a joke until there's a video call, then a contract, then a real date on a real calendar. 3 months from the night my mother tried to erase me, my paintings will hang on white walls, under bright lights, with my name printed on the wall in clean black letters. The gallery owner, Lena, wants to call the show Conditional Love. Your story is part of why this work hits so hard, she says. You don't have to talk about your family if you don't want to, but you should know, people see themselves in it. They're not the only ones. My inbox fills with messages from strangers. I was the invisible child too. My parents used my savings for my brother's wedding. Thank you for saying what I never could. It's a strange thing, being both the villain and the hero to thousands of people I'll never meet. I didn't post the video expecting any of this. I just wanted them to feel what it was like to have their lives defined by someone else's narrative. On the day I sign the gallery contract, an email arrives from my mother. No subject, no greeting. One line. You killed our family. I stare at it for a long time. Then I archive it. I close my laptop. I pick up a blank canvas. If the version of the family she wanted to die for me to live as myself, maybe that's the first honest trade we've ever made. The night of the exhibition opening, the gallery is more crowded than that cafe ever was. People step carefully across polished floors, delicate glasses of cheap champagne in hand, eyes moving over my work. Some recognize me from the video. There's that flicker of recognition, of gossip. Others are just there for the art, the drama, the content. Every painting is a variation on a theme. Families at dinner tables with one chair fading into transparency, smiling faces with their mouths smudged out, eyes replaced by receipts and bank lines, silhouettes cut from printed apologies and "you're overreacting" messages. In the center, the largest piece. On one half, my parents at the anniversary, captured in a photo, smiling broadly, glasses raised, the room behind them soft and glowing. On the other half, the same scene fractured, their bodies cracked like shattered glass. In every shard, a different version of me, child me, teenage me, the me walking away from the table. The title card underneath reads, "We wish you were never born." Lena appears at my side, her blazer sharp, her lipstick perfect. "We've already sold 4 pieces," she says quietly, "including that one." A strange feeling twists in my stomach. Who bought it? "Private collector," she says. "Anonymous. Paid full price and then some." I nod. I tell myself it doesn't matter who hangs that moment on their wall. The whole point was to let the work live beyond me. Still, the thought of that sentence, my mother's worst words decorating someone's hallway, feels surreal. My phone buzzes in my pocket. I almost ignore it. Then I glance. Dad, calling. I step away from the main room, into a quiet hallway near the bathroom. The noise fades to a muffled hum behind the heavy door. I answer. "Hello?" For a few seconds, all I hear is his breathing. When he speaks, his voice sounds older, deflated. "I saw the photos," he says. "Of your show, the articles. Your mother, she can't bring herself to look at them, but she keeps the tabs open on her phone." I let him talk. "Our house is quiet now," he goes on. "Ryan moved out. Emily barely calls. People don't invite us places anymore. Your mother stopped going to church. She says everyone is staring. One of my clinics had to close. We might need to sell the house." He goes silent, like he's waiting for my reaction. "Are you telling me this so I feel sorry for you?" I ask. Not harshly, just honestly. "I'm telling you," he says, "so you know you got what you wanted." I leaned my head back against the wall, staring up at a patch of cracked paint. "Did I?" I murmur. "You ruined us," he whispers. "Your own family." I think of the empty college fund, the note in blue ink, the years of being a ghost in every group photo, her words at the table. I didn't ruin us. I just turned the lights on. We sit there in silence, tethered by a phone line and decades of unfinished conversations. "She cries at night," he finally says. "She keeps saying she wishes she could take it back." There it is. The part of revenge nobody posts about. The moment when the people who hurt you finally break, and instead of feeling like a triumphant avenger, you just feel hollow. "Why are you telling me that?" I ask. "Because I don't know what to do with her anymore," he admits, "and because part of me wonders if you ever loved us at all." The question stings more than anything else he said. "I did," I answer. "That's what almost killed me." Another quiet stretch. "If we asked you to come home," he says slowly, "would you?" From the other side of the door, I can hear my name faintly. Someone laughs, a burst of applause. "Have you met the artist? She's incredible." Once upon a time, my answer would have been automatic. Of course. Of course I'd come. Of course I'd fix it. Of course I'd let them rewrite the story. Now I know I have a choice. "I don't know. Not yet." He exhales. "I suppose that's fair. If I decide, I'll call you." Before he can answer, I hang up. Back in the main room, the noise rushes over me like a wave. People roam from piece to piece, whispering. Lena waves me over to meet a critic. Jess is across the room, animatedly reenacting the anniversary night for a small audience, her hands flying. She spots me and raises her glass. My phone buzzes again. An unknown number this time. I'm outside. Mom. My heart stumbles. I walk toward the front window of the gallery. Outside, under the street lamp glow, I see her. No full makeup, no carefully styled hair, just a plain coat pulled tight around her, hair scraped back. She looks smaller than I remember, as if the weight of the last 3 months has pressed her in on herself. She doesn't come in. She doesn't wave. She just stands there, staring up at the letters printed on the glass. Conditional Love, New Works by Mia Thornton. For a moment, I imagine stepping outside. I imagine her eyes filling with tears, the apologies that never came, the things she might say. I imagine forgiving her. Or not. 100 different versions of the scene play out in my head, and none of them feel entirely true. I stay where I am. I watch her from just inside the glass, the same way she watched me my whole life, from a distance, through a frame, never quite in focus. My phone starts to ring again, her name bright on the screen. I let it ring until it cuts off. Then I turn away from the window and walk back into the crowd, back into the room where people say my name and mean me, not someone else's daughter, back into the light reflecting off my work. They spent years teaching me I was a mistake, a burden, an extra child that shouldn't have existed. They said out loud that they wish I'd never been born. Standing there, in a room full of people who came to see something I made, surrounded by proof that my life is mine to define, I finally understand the truth. I wasn't the mistake. They were.